Okay, so it is currently 10:46 on Sunday, December 20th. In 1 hour and 24 minutes, good math, we're going to know who is in the college football playoff. Granted, they're probably going to dilly-dally around, and we're not actually going to know at exactly noon. But you know what I'm saying. Um, so basically, last night, I was thinking about this, and I decided I could do a mini episode because I didn't want to do an entire episode like a full podcast just talking about this because the main podcast I talk about many things. So this is like a little what I'll call mini episode. And if you guys think of a better name, like a little catchy name, you can just tell me. But right now it's just gonna be called mini episodes. Probably see more of these, maybe like for drafts, stuff like that, where it just focuses on one topic. So basically going into yesterday, but granted I talk a while, so they might end up being longer than some podcasts. So basically, going into yesterday, to me, there was 3 games. There was the Ohio State-Northwestern game, and I was like, if Northwestern beats Ohio State's out. And if Ohio State barely beats them, things get interesting. And Ohio State barely beat them, so things are interesting. And then there was the Notre Dame-Clemson game, of course, the most important game, probably. And if Clemson won, they're going to make the playoff. And if Notre Dame won, Clemson wasn't going to make the playoff. To me, going into yesterday, there were 2 locked teams and then 4 teams on the edge. Bama and Notre Dame were going to make it regardless of a loss. Clemson, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Florida, and Iowa State all needed wins. So that moves us over, of course, to the game that was, in my opinion, the best game of the day, and I think many people, it was an absolute classic, was the Florida Gators versus the Alabama Crimson Tide. And this whole college football season, I've really, my last year, of course, like everybody else, I fell in love with LSU. I love Joe Burrow, one of my favorite players in the NFL. Like, that team was insane. Unbiasedly, I think that is the greatest college football team ever. But, I mean, that team was just so much fun to watch. They were an amazing team. I don't think anybody last year even had a chance against them. But this year, to me, Florida was that team that I just really enjoyed watching. And I knew Florida really wasn't a crazy amazing team. Like, I knew they were a top 6, top 8 team, but I knew I just enjoyed watching them. I really like Kyle Trask and that whole team. BYU's up there. I really like watching them. Notre Dame. I really like watching them in Bama. But to me, for the college football playoff, there's 3 scenarios. There's what I wish would happen, there's what I would do, and then there's what will happen. What I wish would happen is that they look and they say, hey, Florida almost beat the undefeated team that we're going to rank number 1. They should be 4th. Because I feel like that makes sense. But granted, Florida has lost to Texas A&M. So what I wish would happen is somehow Florida would be 4, Bama would be 1, Notre Dame's the 3, and Clemson's the 2. But then granted, that's just the ACC title and the SEC title, and then the winners playing each other in the championship. So I realize that that's not going to happen. That's just me wishing that I could see more Florida football in the playoff. But yes, I'm really sad that Florida didn't beat Bama because I really wanted to see more of Kyle Trask on that team. But let's just hope he gets drafted to like the Colts and I can watch him there. But also the NFL draft this year is going to be crazy of quarterbacks. So moving over to what I would do. I personally watched the whole Ohio State game, and they looked awful. I thought they haven't looked very good this whole season, and that proved it. The only reason they ended up winning is because the running back ended up going off. And, like, props to him breaking the record, but, like, dang, they did not look good. I feel like maybe Justin Fields was just trying to lower his draft stock. Like, he really wanted to go to Atlanta instead of Jacksonville. They're like, please take Zach Wilson. I want to go to Atlanta. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like. He is a Georgia native. But, wow, that was a terrible game. And it wasn't even like Northwestern played that well. Northwestern had, like, 2 turnovers, maybe even 3 turnovers. It was crazy because they had a fumble and an interception. Like, it was bad. That was a terrible game. And so, to me, I feel like Ohio State shouldn't make it. I think it should be number 1 Bama, number 2 Clemson, number 3 Notre Dame, and number 4 Texas A&M. That's what I would do. I think there's a high chance they do that. But we're going to move over to what they will do, which is Bama number 1, Clemson number 2, Ohio State number 3, Notre Dame number 4. Why Notre Dame number 4 and not number 2? Well, it's pretty simple. Because they're not going to put Notre Dame versus Clemson again if they don't have to. Because they don't want to see the game that's already happened twice come out again. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're not. If there's a way they don't have to have them play again until the championship, they're going to probably do that. Just like last year, Ohio State probably should have been number 3, but they really wanted to see them play LSU in the championship, so they put them at number 2. I still stand by the NCAA was chomping at the bit, just like the rest of us wanting to see Ohio State versus LSU last year. And then Clemson, the refs weren't very good that game, and Clemson ended up winning. So anybody who tries to tell you that the NCAA rigged the game between Clemson and Ohio State, that's crap, because NCAA really wanted Ohio State versus LSU last year. That would have been so much money. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, okay. So that's what they will do, is Texas A&M, sorry, not Texas A&M, Ohio State number 3, Notre Dame number 4, Clemson number 2, Alabama number 1. I was really disappointed in Notre Dame yesterday. I thought they put up more of a fight. But, I think that, to me, the national championship's probably going to end up being Bama-Notre Dame. Especially if Ohio State is number 3. Oh, sorry. No. Whoa. If they rank it with Notre Dame at 4, it'll end up being Bama-Clemson. And if Notre Dame plays Clemson and they're the 2 and the 3, it'll be Bama-Notre Dame. Why do I think Clemson will lose to Notre Dame? I don't know. I just got a feeling. Maybe I shouldn't feel that way. But I can say risky things because I don't think they're going to rank Notre Dame 3. I think they're going to be 4, and they're going to have Ohio State get the tar beaten out of them by Clemson. And then Clemson will play Bama, who just beat Notre Dame, and Bama will win the title. I'm calling it now. Bama is your 2021 college football playoff champion after not even being in it last year. Not even being in the whole playoff. All right. Other thing I want to talk about was Heisman. I realized I didn't talk about Heisman the other day, and I don't know why I didn't. To me, the candidates are Kyle Trask, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, and Devonta Smith. I feel like that's it. Fields has an argument. Zach Wilson has a great argument. Much better argument than Fields. But I think Trask has had some crazy numbers games. Lawrence, of course, just won the ACC title and all that. And he plays for, the second best program in the nation. So, yes, Bama is number 1 in my opinion. Program-wise, I feel like in college football, it's like Bama, then Clemson, then probably Ohio State. And, probably Georgia, Florida. Those are, your top programs. Notre Dame, if they can keep going like this, I'd put them up there. I really like Brian Kelly and everything they got over there, like I talked yesterday. Well, no, it wasn't yesterday. It was 2 days ago. I put the podcast out Friday. All right, but Heisman, I say Devonta Smith. I feel like if there's ever going to be a receiver that deserves it, it's him. They've had a receiver obviously in the past, but I'm saying it's very rare. There's only one ever, so I think he should win it. I think Devonta Smith really deserves it. And if you really want to split it with Mac Jones, that's fine. Make it half and half. But I fully believe that Devonta Smith is this year's Heisman Trophy winner. And I still think Mac Jones is going to get drafted to the Patriots, and maybe they can get Devonta Smith too. They took Devonta Smith in the first round and Mac Jones in the second round, and they just have this epic duo. I don't know, I'm just saying, holy crap, he's had an amazing season. Yesterday against Florida, when they just needed a touchdown, and they just throw it to him immediately, and they get a touchdown. That was crazy. I was listening to it on the radio, and my hopes and dreams were crushed because I really wanted Florida to win. Yeah, so I'm saying they're going to go 1 Bama, 2 Clemson, 3 Ohio State, 4 Notre Dame. That's what will happen. Bama will beat Notre Dame. Clemson will beat Ohio State. Bama beats Clemson. End of story. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the pod today. I'll probably have a Christmas week episode. Granted, this is Christmas week, but I'm saying I'll probably do something, talk about whatever's happening. And yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed the college football the college football season this year. I'm very excited for the playoff. I'll probably watch Florida's bowl game. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see where the NCAA goes from here. because, I mean, a lot of your big quarterbacks are gone, but there's always new guys coming out. And, of course, I'm super excited for the NFL draft. So, yeah, we will find out soon what's going to happen, and I'm hopefully right. And the more and more I sit here, the more and more I realize if they do rank Notre Dame 3 and Clemson 2, Clemson will beat them. I'm just being hopeful. All right, one more thing before we wrap up, though. I said this last year, and this year it's especially true. 8 teams. 8 teams. It needs to be 8 teams next year. I mean, last year they lucked out that there really wasn't a huge snub anywhere. But this year, I mean, cutting Texas A&M sucks. Cutting Iowa State sucks. Cutting Florida really sucks. And cutting, I think Georgia's the 8. And I mean, those are all good teams. So I just wish it was 8 teams. And I think they are eventually going to move to that. But I just can't believe they haven't done it by now. I feel like it needed to happen this year. Because especially with like COVID and all that, they could completely be like, oh, because of this, we're going to 8 teams, which makes sense. That makes complete and total sense. Because some teams aren't playing as much as others, and so then that gives more chances for other teams being. They should have been 8. It needs to be 8, and I think they're going to go to it. Yeah, Georgia's 8. I just checked. Personally, I would put Cincinnati above Georgia. I think Cincinnati's really good, but yeah. Granted, Georgia does play in the SEC, so that gives them more room for error. Yeah, it really needs to be 8. I can't get over that. Because think about how good this would be. If we had 8, we would have Bama playing Georgia in the first round. Notre Dame playing Florida. That would be a close game. Notre Dame would win, but that'd be a good game. Iowa State playing Clemson. Clemson wins, still a good game. Texas A&M, Ohio State. Texas A&M beats them. And then there's no reseeding, so that would be Texas A&M versus Bama. And then you'd still end up with Notre Dame, Clemson. So then after that, Clemson beats them. So you still end up with Bama, Clemson if they do that. But they just need to do that. Like, goodness. It's so simple. Everyone knows it. Wow. All right. Hopefully they move to that, and I can be happy. Hope you guys enjoyed the mini episode. And it is now 11:01. So in 59 minutes, probably a little more than that because, like I said, they're going to dilly-dally. But hope you all enjoyed the mini episode. I do think it's going to be number 1, Bama. Number 2, Clemson. Number 3, Ohio State. And number 4, Notre Dame. That's my official prediction. And like I said, I would have put Texas A&M in there. But granted, I am not the person who chooses. See you all in the next one.